life itself down to a cellular level. Everything about it is to protect our being and push us further. Nature is about pushing further and adding and multiplying and healing. A farmer can sow good seeds. A farmer can sow bad seeds. Because a farmer is not a perfect person. However, whatever you do plant, the soil will return to you, good and bad. And everything that's against that is just against nature.
Despite playing an integral part in the origins of country music, black artists have been pushed to the margins of the genre. A new crop of artists are seeking to change that and reclaim their place on the country music charts.
But as Amna Nawaz reports, a number of black women are starting to gain traction in the genre.
Congratulations on going platinum, first of all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it definitely tripped me out. I'm still like in that moment where I haven't really grasped it all, but I know that it is reality and I'm not dreaming.
And last September, the Texas native continued to make history when she became the first black female artist to perform her song at the Academy of Country Music Awards.
You're a history maker, man. Like, first black artist to debut at #1.
Since then, Spencer's song Compassion, which tackles issues of racial justice, has been streamed more than 3.5 million times.
It's been such a wild ride.
Our first guest has been named one of CMT's 2021 Next Women of Country. She's been praised by Rolling Stone, Billboard, and the New York Times, and could very well be this year's breakout superstar.
Things are changing. You know, people want to see a different Nashville.
To river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sister, let's go down, come on down.
I haven't done a whole lot of things right, but I can do some music. My mom, she was just on board with it from the very start. She always told me that God told her that I wasn't going to be with her in Baltimore for a long time. And she knew it long before I did. So I just wanted to do country music. I fell in love with it when my friend Keisha down in Baltimore, my hometown, found me a CD to listen to. She was like, you need to check out the Chicks. Back then they were the Dixie Chicks. And I just fell in love, went on this whole rabbit hole watching all the music videos and listening to country radio. I remember watching documentaries on like Taylor Swift and Reba, and they always said the same thing. You just have to move to Nashville. You know, when you realize that you have a passion for country music, You just got to get to where the country music is. I finally got the nerve and moved here. And it's been 8 years. I remember feeling discouraged because my sound was different. I sound like I'm from Baltimore. I don't hide that. I don't got a twang, but I got a Baltimore accent. And I bring all of that with me because the thing that I've always wanted to do is just make the music I wish I heard as a kid. When I started listening to country music when I was 14 or 15 years old, I quickly realized there wasn't anybody that looked like me. And I realized there wasn't anyone bringing in a lot of the sounds that I heard throughout my life, my childhood. R&B, gospel, I mean, even classical. You know, I love that, rock. I wasn't hearing that all the time. And so it made me feel like an other listening to someone else's music.
Honestly, the thing that brought me to Nashville was the people. When I started meeting people from Nashville, I could tell that, you know, kind of the thing that people always talk about, that country music was a community. Nashville is just this little scene unto its own. There's this thing where, you know, country music singers, they go to the grocery store, they go to the same bars as you, they go to the same whatever. So there's this closeness, this community that really exists. I think that it speaks to the culture of country music in a good way and a bad way, because there is a level of nobody wants to shake any feathers because everything is calm and everything is kind of the same and everything has existed in this way for such a long time.
If we understand the history of this genre, of this sound, and understand that it is as much a part of Black tradition as it is white tradition, and if we understand Black people have always been here and have always been a fan of this music, have always created this music. But I think when you're an artist and you're coming in, like, it takes a certain kind of mindset, a special kind of mindset to be like, I'm gonna start from scratch and I'm gonna do that on my own.
I would always go to LA or Houston or Atlanta, New York. I met a guy named Courtney Benson, and I knew the Nelly song. I'm getting pages out of New Jersey from Courtney B, talking about a party up in NYC. Can I make it damn right? I'll be on the next flight, first class, sitting next to Vanna White. And I was like, you Courtney B from the song. Courtney was the one that really helped me. That's how I got in the game, was just doing tracks and singing hooks for Nelly and Ashanti and Chingy or Youngbloods. I grew up in Memphis, where 3 6 Mafia was always in everybody's car, and that was starting to be the sound of all rap music to me. And I was completely tired of it at that point. I listened to it my whole upbringing. I was living in Atlanta and I was coming up to Nashville a lot, and I was hearing country music and I was really starting to like it. I was hearing things like Zac Brown Band, records that sounded different than the country music I grew up on. So now I'm listening to this music that has this whole band, guitars and strings and steel, you know. Whenever something's bending, like the steel guitar bending, you know, it's soul to me. So I'm like, this has got soul music to it. And then I started digging into older songs, like realizing like Dolly Parton songs were so beautiful and Patsy Cline songs that had like jazz influence and all these different influences. I was like, you know, the music that I love is all right here.
Easy way out, girl. Please. It's gonna be hard, baby.
Country music? Well, country music was something always been here. So when I stepped out outside the household, country music is what we heard. It's country music city here.
When you listen to the songs and just some of the things, the struggles, because a lot of that country music, if you listen to the word, and they struggle, and they're just trying to put their perspective on what they went through. Relationship with marriages, all that's tied up with country music, because that's mostly what they sing about, their past and the present and how they was able to get out of it. So my perspective on country music, I enjoy listening to country music, but I listen to a lot of the words when I do listen to the songs.
Music is the thing for me that like levels the playing field. Initially, I wanted to be an artist.
My savior, all the day long. This is my story.
I started doing YouTube throughout high school. It didn't really do much.
All the day long.
I eventually had like a couple videos that had done well, but just not anything enough on YouTube to really push the needle professionally. And some people were like, you could write songs and potentially you could write songs for people. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm into that. Let me see what I can do. And so I ended up going out to Atlanta, just kind of shadowed some producers. And that was kind of how I started to level up even more as a songwriter. It was primarily R&B and hip hop just because I was in Atlanta, and those were kind of the opportunities that I had based on producers and writers that I was working with. But there were some people within country music that I felt like were making progressive stuff than the country music that I was being put onto in high school and college. You know, I liked a lot of Sam Hunt stuff. I was listening to some Kane Brown stuff. The genre has come a long way quickly. So I was like, this is a good time for me to bring some of the influences and experience that I have from living in Atlanta for the past few years and try to incorporate it into what's going on. So I was like, I need to go to Nashville and see what is really going on within the genre, like, because I'm an outsider in this moment. So I came out to Nashville, and then I realized, like, they're basically writing the same way that I typically write. They're just doing it with some different phrases, and they're doing it with some different instruments. But, like, the same stuff that I would do, my process in Atlanta, was pretty similar to what they were doing in Nashville. So I was like, okay, this is dope. Like, I don't have to like relearn anything, really. I was like, they're just writing songs based around concepts. Like, there's nothing that would allow you to write an R&B song that would preclude you from being able to write a good country song. Because the best versions of both of those things are pretty similar.
I think it probably speaks to the storytelling, the instrumentation. You know, country music is a genre that, even as it's gotten more popular, has still maintained this sense of purity. There's still live guitar, there's still live drums. Even now, again, as we get to this hip hop where there are these country artists that really incorporate a lot of like these R&B influences or a lot of these hip hop influences, you're still probably gonna put some pedal steel over it. And music is such a wonderful art form in that it's always pulling from different spaces.
My earliest memory of music is hearing my mom's voice and hearing her piano. She couldn't express her love with her words or with physical affection, but I could hear it in the way she played. One of my earliest memories is crawling under the piano while she played when she was very upset about things she would play. And I loved to hear her, so I remember seeing her feet on the pedals, and I could see the edge of her wrists and the edge of her hand. And that's where I would feel moments of like connection and safety with her, was when I could hear her play. My mom says I was humming before I could speak. And if she was playing the piano, I would hum with her in the right key. And I remember like humming and singing to make myself feel less scared. And that is something that I feel like connects me really directly with the Black diaspora. I got myself a secondhand banjo at a pawn shop in Vancouver. That kind of opened a whole world to me. I loved the sound of it, and I didn't know anything about it, but I just knew it resonated for me in this special way.
Hush now, don't you wake up. We'll be leaving at first light. Mama's buying you a mockingbird to lull you through the night.
I met Rhiannon Giddens in 2006. She was in the Chocolate Drops. They were 1 year in. And I remember just being like thunderstruck when I saw these three beautiful Black people playing fiddle and banjos and singing these old-time songs.
I can't tell my daughters all the things that I've said.
It was revelatory for me to hear Black women singing their own experiences. I understood that music has always been the thing that helps people survive trauma. That's how I know how to do it, is through writing songs and singing them for people and trying to connect as much as I can.
Growing up, I was a big Charlie Pride fan. Matchbox 20, Tupac, Seven Dust, Prince, Brooks and Dunn. Kind of just everything. My music, kind of the stories I tell through the songs and kind of how I grew up, where I grew up, what I like to wear. Country music fit me better. I moved to Nashville in 2007. And in 2007, country was still pretty traditional. You know, of course I had a few people at different labels saying, well, it wouldn't work because I was Black, or I had this one dude at a label, I won't say his name, but he was like, yeah, man, I like you, you're a good guy, but I'm not sure about how country music fans would feel about, you know, your people. And I was like, what? All right. You know, I remember after I signed with Broken Bow, my first single with #1, he emails me, he said, dude, congrats, man, I always knew you'd make it. I'm a straight shooter, so I emailed him back, said, don't lie to me, bro. You told me it wouldn't. Don't. You ain't gotta lie. You could have just said congratulations and kept it at that. But I feel like it's our job to realize that there are certain barriers that are there, certain obstacles that are there. And we have to get past that. And the one way to always get past it is great music. If the music's trash, it's trash. That's just facts, you know? No matter what your skin color is. We can only control who we are, what we do, and the quality of music we put out.
I grew up in Texas. My church drove us to see a Texas Rangers baseball game. I was in the nosebleed section, and the announcer says, "Please rise," as 10-year-old Leanne Rimes sings the national anthem. When I heard her sing, that's when I was like, I want to do that. My grandmother lived in a really tiny shack in Riesel, Texas, and when I would go over to her house, she would have hanging on the back of her door all these VHS tapes of Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers and Steel Magnolias and any Southern movie. So I wanted to do country music.
Hey y'all, it's Mickey Guyton here. I hope you guys are having an amazing CMA Fest. This is my first CMA Fest, and I'm so excited to be here.
Hey guys, I'm Erica Grace Powell, hanging out at CMA Fest. One of my favorite girls in country music, Miss Mickey Guyton, is here with us today. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm just obsessed with you. Hey y'all, I'm Mickey Guyton, and I am so excited to be hosting the red carpet with the ACM Awards with Sounds Like Nashville.
I jumped in blindly, but when I got signed to Capitol Records, Mike Dungan did call me. He said that it's going to be really difficult for women. He didn't even mention people of color. And I was thinking, it can't be that bad, you know? We'll be fine. I'll be fine. I've got a great label, got great management. Like, this is going to happen. And then, you know, reality sets in. I got questioned at every turn. It was like, you've got to make sure that you're really country, because people are going to think that you're disingenuous. And I'm thinking to myself, I grew up in Crawford, Texas. It doesn't get much countryer than that. I was signed because people loved my artistry. And it was like they tried to change everything and wash everything that made me away and put this other person on top of me. There's this formula on how to make it in Nashville. I've followed the Nashville way for almost 10 years. It does not work for anybody unless you are a white, tall male. Like, it is golden for you. You just follow that formula. You're going to have like 10 number ones and a ranch and your own label and a bar on Broadway, like all of the things. Which is crazy because there's so many different people in the world. And you could be shutting off so many opportunities like that. It doesn't just have to be one way.
I had went as far as I could go in my hometown, which is High Point, North Carolina.
Please welcome Frankie State.
I would just like to say that I wrote this song because at the heart of everybody, they want to be loved for who they are. My wish for you all is that you find that in your life.
I was playing for the International Furniture Markets, which is the industry of our city. and I would play for people from all over the world. Every now and then I'd slip one of my own original songs in, and they would say, "Did you really write that? Is that your music?" And they would say, "You need to go somewhere where somebody can hear you." Being a Southern girl and having a love of all kinds of music, and especially country music, I thought, I'll go to Nashville. I was always about the talent and the music and the creativity. So at that point, I had already been around all kinds of people from everywhere, and they seemed to enjoy what I did. So I didn't look at it like, oh, I'm a black woman. Nashville taught me that I was a black woman. They made me know that. They made me know that my blackness made me different.
I do pose a question a lot just to get people to think, and it's, who built Nashville? Like, who built this place?
I mean, Nashville's a lot different than what it used to be, you know, when I was growing up, but to me, this is home. There's very few of us left, you know, original Nashvillians, you know, kids that went to Metro, MNPS schools and stuff like that. So to me, this is always gonna be home. If I close my eyes and think about it, the first thing I'm gonna see is Jefferson Street. You know what I'm saying? The first thing I'm gonna taste is the biscuits and knockout wings. My sister went to Fisk. I went to TSU right up the street. A big part of music growing up in Nashville was going to church. And the choir was so incredible, you know. You would have these different musicians that were just world-class musicians playing gospel music. And at the time, you know, I didn't really have the same appreciation because there wasn't nobody trying to listen to no gospel music for real like that. I'd rather be listening to Ludacris or something like that. But when I look back on it, I realized how much of an impact it had on me and how much I value, you know, black music and black musicians in Nashville.
Me and my father, we moved from Chattanooga to Johnson City, Tennessee back in 2006. My mother passed away when I was 17, and we pretty much we needed to like start over, have a fresh start in a different place. I kind of felt this sense of in-betweenness because I was, you know, a black girl growing up in like very conservative white suburbia, also dealing with like, you know, my gender and my sexuality. I was going to East Tennessee State University. I was looking through the catalog book and I came across this class called Bluegrass Guitar. And that's when I really started to understand my place musically and how I can contribute to music, and the fact that my ancestors were such a pivotal and important part of country and bluegrass. Like, these are all things I had no idea of, because for me, I didn't know if I wanted to be part of a music community that on the surface didn't seem to recognize me as a valid participant because I was black.
Country music is the music of the South. It is Southern musical tradition. And when you think about the American South, you got to think about Black people, period. And all of these things that we hear that we associate with whiteness were absolutely being done and really being revolutionized, really. Like, Black people were really innovating in this space.
There were times where whites and blacks would both learn music from each other. There was like a trade between the banjo and the fiddle, for instance. The banjo coming from West Africa. Adding that rhythmic playing, which we call clawhammer, you're playing melody and rhythm at the same time. So that going underneath these fiddle tunes created like this new sound.
We've got Black string bands along with white string bands, but white people were put in this bucket where they create hillbilly music, and Black people are over here creating race records. The music itself is the same. The genres are really just marketing categories. How do we get this music in the hands of these people? And it really is the commercial music industry, this idea that now we're going to make money off of this, that starts to create that separation.
Once more white people started learning how to play banjo, there was this thing that started happening in the early 20th century, the blackface minstrel shows. And people from all over the country would go and see these shows. That's how popular it was. When you're faced with being a Black person during segregation and trying to find opportunities to just have some sense of like dignity in greater society, you're not gonna gravitate toward a banjo or a fiddle because you're seeing yourself portrayed so negatively. Why would you want to grab a banjo? If anything, it's let's create jazz, let's create blues, let's create some other music now that we can have that's our own, because we can't touch this anymore.
You know, a lot of times, even as the music starts to shift, as we see more blues coming to the fore, they don't even want Black people doing this other stuff anymore. They don't want the Black string bands because that has been clearly defined as white music. So over time, we lose the roots, which is that, yeah, white people were doing it, but Black people were doing it too.
Every single bit of modern music, Black roots music, is foundational to every single bit of it. And just as Black innovation, creativity is foundational to blues, it's just as much so to country, it's just as much so to folk, it's just as much so to any kind of pop music, any kind, you know, obviously jazz, obviously rock and roll. Like, there's no Elvis without Sister Rosetta Tharpe. There's no Hank Williams without Lead Belly. There's no, you know, it's like, it's foundational. And that's the part that I started to realize I don't need to apologize for being in any space. I belong here just as much as anybody.
I don't pass the test of the paper bag, cause I'm Black myself. I pick the banjo up and they sneer at me, cause I'm Black myself. You better lock your doors when I walk by, cause I'm Black myself. You look me in my eyes, but you don't see 'cause I'm black myself. You see, washed in the blood of your shadow, 'cause the land dried it away. Then they stop shipping what horses, they bet their own anyway. Ooh. 'Cause I'm black myself. Oh, 'cause I'm black myself. 'Cause I'm black myself, black myself, black myself, black myself, black myself, black myself, black myself. 'Cause I'm black myself.
Country music is unique in that it is associated with a city, Nashville. And that's something you don't see in other genres. People come here, they have a certain idea of what Nashville is. They come with their cowboy hats and their fringe and their boots. And they think that that's how people live here and that it's a completely white city. When that has not been the case in reality.
Bubble power.
No, that was a huge one. Try not to shake yourself.
I remember when I was probably like 12 or 13, Achy Breaky Heart. It was the music, it was the tune that caught me, and like I've always cherished the song. So Billy Ray Cyrus, I was a fan of his when I was younger. I'm not afraid to say that now. But I've always loved country music. I've barely scratched the surface, but I'm always in the mood to hear a good song.
Oh.
How you feel about it?
You took my song, but yeah, I was in, I think, 2nd or 3rd grade when I heard Achy Breaky Heart. I mean, I didn't know at the time that it was country because of being so young, you really don't separate genres and everything, but to this day, I do know that that twang and that guitar and the way that he was saying his words were definitely unforgettable, and that's country in a nutshell. I think country for me personally, for me being a black male, it doesn't really call out to me, I would say. It doesn't call out to me. It doesn't ask me to listen to it per se, because I think that a lot of the years over time have been catered to another type of people.
Tough because country music, when it strikes the ear, it don't sound like black music. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the iconography surrounding country music, it's not how we dress, it's not what we look like, it's not what we talk like. We didn't listen to country music growing up in my house. It was a, jazz and gospel house. So it's just so strange, and it's like everywhere you go, you're inundated with a ton of country music. And there was nothing else playing. Like, if you go into the gas station, country music. You go to the mall, country music. You go to a store, country music. Everywhere you go, it was like country music everywhere.
If you look at the scholarship on country music, it's very well established how country became white. But my question was really, okay, we know how it became white, but how has that whiteness been maintained? Because here we are 100 years later, and we still think of country music as white, probably even more white than we did 100 years ago. Historically, the country music industry has really capitalized on finding a base audience of white conservatives. And that is a pocket of consumers that doesn't exist across the board elsewhere. By the late 1970s, as a nation, the U.S. really took a conservative turn. The cowboy came back in fashion, and this was coupled with Ronald Reagan assuming the presidency in 1980, and he sold himself as a cowboy. And in turn, the country music industry and the CMA in particular really leaned into those associations.
I don't know about our opponents, but there's an old country and western song called Home on the Range, where seldom is heard a discouraging word. I guess they haven't campaigned there yet. You could invite them here. If you don't, that's just as well. But they probably couldn't perform here anyway, because all they do is sing the blues.
By the 1990s, country music was the most popular format on radio. And of course, it all funnels back to radio, because radio is the most influential force within the country music business. It's across the board within the country music industry for the past several decades, where every pocket of the industry is invested in a certain type of listener. It's building on generations and generations of only selling country music as a product by and for white people.
Part of the big reason why country music is the way it is because of the fan, the culture around it.
Controversy over the Confederate flag hits home here in Connecticut tonight.
You know, you cultivate whiteness for a very long time, you're gonna get a certain demographic of people.
I think individual freedoms, you don't want to tramp on that. Don't tread on me.
There's no denying the tying in of like Southern heritage to what traditional country music has been. I was a day-to-day manager for a couple country artists for about 9 years. I mean, I remember going to concerts, you know, you pull in the parking lot and you see all the Confederate flags, and those people might not be actively racist, but they're at a country music show and they feel like that means that they should fly the Confederate flag. If you're not working in the music industry or you don't have like a real reason to be there, you're only gonna put yourself through that experience once. I think all of it together has just sort of made this not so welcoming space for Black people. And so I think that's why it hurts even more, because it's hard to see this thing that you love and work so hard for. It's hard to feel like it doesn't love you back.
Even as it sits in the heart of this very diverse city, the city that is a third Black, this city with this rich civil rights history, where the freedom rides started, where you've got Alexander Luby's house is bombed because of the work he's doing to desegregate schools to fight for civil rights for Black people, where there are 4 HBCUs in town. There has been this constant shift away from or avoidance of or just really clear lines between this industry in the Black community that's here.
I'm a lifelong resident, 69 years here in Nashville. I grew up listening to country music. My mother was a choreographer, so she always listened to music. And having grown up basically on a big farm and going to hoedowns and square dancing, I still have the silver dollars that I won in the square dancing contest when I was a little boy. So country music, two-step, square dancing, it's what I've done all my life. I was born in 1952. Of course, it was a different Nashville. My first time going to the Grand Ole Opry, I had to sit up in the top because it was segregated. So I never felt that country music was welcoming me. And so if I didn't feel it was welcoming me, and I've been loving it all my life, then I can only imagine how people who don't have any connection, or people who even were trying to get in the business would feel because they weren't there. So it caused me to dig a little deeper, to try to get a better understanding. And the fact is that as Nashville was not welcoming back in the day, country music wasn't either.
When I moved here, it was 1981, and it was quite different than now. There were tour buses everywhere. Busloads of people would come into these different clubs or restaurants, and they would have these jam sessions, and everybody wanted to get up and have a picture made singing on a stage in Nashville. There was one particular jam session I was interested in, was in the captain's table. I studied the marquee, and it said Sammy Davis Jr. had performed there, and I loved Sammy Davis Jr. And so I said, I'm gonna be clean when I walk up in there. So I come down Church Street one night in my evening gown with my little fake rhinestones on. And the cop stopped me and said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to the jam session at the captain's table. And he said, to do what? I said, I'm singing Loretta Lynn. He said, oh, really? I'm going with you. I said, you want to hear it? Come on. So my entree into the jam session was with the police. And I was the first one there. I signed up at 11:30 at night. It started at midnight. And he just kind of hung around a few minutes and gave his card to the manager, said, if you have any problems with it, let me know. I thought, why would they have any problems with me? I'm just here for the music. I was drinking black coffee. I was the first one to sign up. And busloads of people came and went, and they got all of them up to sing. They wouldn't get me up, and I thought, I'm not leaving. I'm staying. If we have to have a sunrise service here, I'm staying till the sun comes up. And so I just sat there, you know, and 2:30 in the morning they said, you know, we don't know this woman, but this is a jam session. It's open to the public. So we're going to get her up to sing a song. And her name is Frankie Stratton. I said, my name is Frankie Staten. And I go up there and I said, I'm doing the Coal Miner's Daughter in the key of D. And I turn around and tell the audience, and the place is still packed at 2:30 in the morning, that I came to Nashville because of this movie, The Coal Miner's Daughter. I love Loretta Lynn. And I started singing this song, and, you know, people, I got a standing ovation. They said, well, sing another song, and I sang another song, and they said, well, sing another song. They came down and said, can you audition tomorrow night? And I auditioned the next night, and the next night my name was on the marquee. Where have you been? What did you do? Did you know I was here, patiently waiting for you? Sometimes you have to stay when you don't want to. And I've learned to stay a lot. I missed you so much. Where have you been? I'm your dream. I'll never give up on you. I'll always be here. I'm with you no matter if you're happy or full of fear. Can we start working on tomorrow today? Never give up again, and please don't walk away. I'm gonna be here with you to the bitter end. I love you with all my heart. I'm your dream.
Everybody say hello to Charley Pride. Charley? Welcome. Thank you for coming. You know, Charley, I always wanted to get a chance to talk to you. You know, when I was small, my mom and dad were in the music business, and I just kind of grew up in it. But did you always want to be a singer from the time you were a little boy, or did you just kind of...
I've sang all my life, but I wanted to be a great baseball player.
You didn't make it.
No, just in the door. Got me.
You made it in the music business anyway. You know, I think you're the only man in country music that's got 4 gold albums. Is that right?
Well, I don't know, but I have them, and I'm proud
He's
of
got 4 gold albums. I think that's great.
Yeah, Charley Pride, man. Charley Pride started it all.
Tomorrow.
Charley Pride was the first black artist signed to a major country record label in 1965, and he became a huge star.
Like, this guy was not just okay, he was a massive success.
And he just did his thing. He didn't let anything get in his way of being what he wanted to be a country artist when there was no people of color doing it.
And you know, it's a strange thing. On the radio, you just hear this voice, and I associate with voices, and you'd never think that a black man would be singing country. What happened the first time you walked out and was introduced to the country fair?
Oh, well, it was actually, Ben, I was in Detroit, Michigan. And I had 10 minutes on the show. I drove all the way from Montana, and I walked, and I'm down in the shadows, and they said, ladies and gentlemen, how about it now for RCA's Charley Pride? It was like a big applause, and I come out of those lights up in the shadows. I mean, out of the shadows up in those lights, and they say, they didn't stop applauding. They just like turned the volume down.
Put on the gloves.
No, the whispers came up.
I had this little spiel. I didn't have but 10 minutes, so I had to have something quick to loosen them up. They sitting there going, I said, ladies and gentlemen, I realize it's a little unique, me coming out here on a country music show wearing this permanent tan. So I said, I'm going to do the 3 songs I have, and then the ones that I've been doing all of my life before I had my 3, and I hope you enjoy it. And I hit it. And when I came off, it was a 3 o'clock show and an 8 o'clock show. I signed from that show until the next one at 8 o'clock started.
I've always pictured this moment. And this morning they're gonna start breaking ground. If this is gonna be where it's gonna be, let me drop down to my knees right now. Charley Pride, man, it's still crazy, getting to say that he was a friend. The last 2.5 years, we talked on the phone every other Sunday for an hour or two. And he told me a lot about how to handle yourself in certain situations, to where you handle yourself with grace, but at the same time, you don't shy away from issues that you need to address. Turn this house into home, sweet home. Paint some memories on these walls. Keep this family together forever and ever. I know the prayer it works. So God bless this day. I feel like Charlie did his part. You know, Charlie came into the genre in a time when they were still hanging and hosing black people in the streets in the 60s and 70s. And he was there. He was there for a long time at a high level. You know, he showed that it could be done. The prayer it works, yeah. So God bless this day.
We've seen throughout history that representation in and of itself is not enough, right? Or Charlie Pride would have fixed everything. There have always been moments where you see this kind of push of black artists trying to get in, but then ultimately, you know, being shut out. Charlie Pride becomes this massive success. Of course, other black people think that this is my opportunity, but, you know, the walls came down pretty quickly because there could only be one.
Everyone told us to go to Charlie Pride. Oh, you want to get a break in country music? Go to Charlie Pride. And I never could understand why they did that. You know, but basically it was to get us out of their face. You know, you're black in the country. Oh, go find Charlie Pride. Well, why? Did he have a label? Was he looking for talent? No. You're the label. It solidified the powers that be, the ability to say, we're not prejudiced, we have Charlie Pride. We have a black man in country music. Now, I'm going to quote Dr. Cleve Francis on this. He said, 30-some million black people, you shook the country music tree and one brother fell out in 75 years. When I know there were many more trying.
I'm a member of an oratorical people. You know, we tell stories from the beginning, through song, through poem. And I think our stories got to be honored. You know, it's kind of hard to find country music from black artists in Nashville that are from Nashville, you know, that are really reflecting who we are. And I feel like if there was more of that, it would totally change my perspective of the music. You know, our story's got to be honored and it's got to be held with a degree of authenticity and respect. In order for it to resonate with the people.
Places like these are important because this is really where we start to see the music, you know, merge together. Black musicians, white musicians, like you see a lot of old pictures where you got guys that are playing the banjo, black musicians. They're doing it in these settings. They're entertaining white crowds. These settings are so indicative of what is happening in country music, what has been happening in country music, because we're standing on a place of stolen labor. We look at the industry now that is birthed out of these black genres, these black musical traditions, and it's really stolen from our people because they don't get to participate in the wealth that's being built here now. And you can't separate the industry that comes out of this place without talking about the ugliness of this place.
I had always been apologizing almost for being in these spaces, right? Where I was always the one black person in these very white, and people were like, why aren't you singing jazz? I was constantly being asked to explain myself. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this music?
First and foremost, music is about how it makes you feel, regardless of what you look like or where you grew up. For me as a kid, I really struggled with feeling in between. I'm either not white, I'm not black enough. I'm in the middle of all of this, trying to figure out who I am. And when I discovered this history and this music, that's when I was like, this is what makes me an American.
You're free now, you're free now. How does your spirit fly?
I've had, very academic discussions about the transatlantic slave trade. You can't just sit down and just start talking about that with people because we're still healing from it. Black people and white people are still healing from this. A song and music has this way of disarming people. It takes a story or an idea and makes it to where the person kind of has to hear it.
Born by the grace of your strength, we have life.
I believe that's how we break these cycles of bigotry and violence.
Golden course of gone to the bondage of Grenada.
We can't do any of it if we can't face that they're happening, and if we can't talk about that they're happening. The white policeman assaulting me when I was 12. The white guy spitting on me in the street when I was 15. The white woman who told me I couldn't use the bathroom after my entire bag bag because they didn't have it. I have to talk about these things to change, to be able to live, to be able to survive.
I'm like, this is the biggest song of all time, arguably. Like, we have never seen a song in the internet era this big. So, and it's not just that the song is big and it's controversial. It wasn't controversial to me. I was like, that's dope. But I'm saying it was controversial to some people.
Like this one beat, like it was like I used it on a song, and the song like blew up. You know how it goes. What was the name of it?
2019 officially belongs to Lil Nas X. That song became the longest running #1 single in Billboard's history.
I like Nas X though, He came out with a good song. He caught it at the beginning. You weren't even around country music, so he had to prove himself who he really was so he can be respected out here as a person.
What he did was such a shock to the world and to the country music world, especially once he came out. And then it was like, okay, so we have this young gay black dude, and he's got Billy Ray on the song.
I mean, that impact was huge. The song went freaking diamond, you know what I'm saying? It opened people's eyes and ears up that we can do it all. We can do whatever, is no limitations, especially when it comes to creativity. Like, it's none. And with Old Town Road, it definitely opened up, like I said, people's eyes and ears to be like, oh, is black people doing this?
as a kid growing up with that role model that we're talking about.
Listening to this song.
Yeah. So, you know, you need some positive role model around to hear something positive to say, hey, I can do that.
Lil Nas X scored a surprise hit with Old Town Road. It's become a word-of-mouth hit, and a couple days ago, it just reached #1. The song made Billboard chart history. It's the only song to simultaneously appear on the Hot 100, the Hot R&B Hip-Hop Songs chart, and the Hot Country Songs chart.
But now, Billboard has pulled it from the Country Songs chart because they no longer believe that the song is country enough.
People were mad. People were mad, and I was just watching, and I'm like, I wonder what they're gonna do. Like, are they gonna boycott him? So I was just really fascinated by it. I followed the whole thing, and then when I saw kind of how it started to resolve itself, and people were like, well, why can't he do it? Obviously, that song was massive, and then he dropped some more music that was not like that at all, and I was like, wait, but people like this. I was like, people like that. Then I was like, okay, well, why can't I do it?
There's no genre that sounds today like it sounded, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. As we've seen in country music throughout the years, as the sonics have changed, there is this constant borrowing from other genres, from other sounds. There's borrowing from gospel, from black gospel. There's borrowing from black R&B. Now we're in this era where there's a lot of borrowing from hip hop. It all evolves, and that creates more of an opportunity to bring in people from outside of this, particularly when the artist that is doing this genre blending looks like a Breland or a Blanco Brown.
Lil Nas had to take some L's as a young black man in this space, and I don't blame him for not wanting to stay in this space. However, by him doing that, he made it easier for me to do what I'm doing. Don't touch my truth. Don't touch my truth. I put it out in September of 19, and randomly in December, someone hit me up and was like, yo, your song is on TikTok. And I went and checked, and I was like, every minute, there was new videos being made. They put up 200 videos in a day, and I was like, 200 people made videos to it? And then I went and checked the numbers, and we were at 30,000 streams. And I was like, oh, we just spiked crazy. I was like, this is dope. And then every day after that, it was just going more and more and more. And about a week after that, I started getting calls from labels, and they were they're like, hey, you're an artist? You're Breland the artist? And I was like, I guess so. And they're like, we want to meet with you. And I'm like, the first couple calls that I got, I was like, all right, sure. But then I got calls from 15 different major labels in a 24-hour span. And I was like, oh, this is for real, for real.
Your song, My Truck, was very popular, so popular, in fact, that I have a surprise for you. So on behalf of Bad Round Records... Oh, no! So wait, on behalf of Bad Round Records and Atlantic Records, we want to present you with a platinum certification for selling 1 million copies of My Truck, which is hard to do right now, y'all. That's incredible.
I just knew that there was a lane that was open, and if the lane is open for one, it's open for everybody.
All I do They don't mean a thing. They don't mean a thing to me anymore.
I feel like music is my life. It's everything. It's never been a question like, what do I want to do? What will my career be? I've always just been like, I'm going to make history. I'm going to be a singer, and I'm going to do what I love. When people ask me, like, why did I choose country music, I just tell them, like, country music chose me. That's how I feel. I've only been in Nashville for 2 or 3 years. They haven't seen a lot of black women or black men in the country space. And so because of that, they don't know what to expect from me. I feel like, especially being in country music, I kind of have to be aware of everything that I do, but I'm just like, I'm gonna be me. And for me, I'm like, I wanna be as extra as possible. Like, that's just me.
Oh yeah, I was just freestyling. Country music was so simple to me, and it told stories. You didn't have to create a facade. You just could tell whatever story you wanted. And I gravitated towards it. You gotta create your own path and go for your own glory. So couldn't nobody tell me what I couldn't do. I was gonna keep on doing it either way it go. If it didn't work, I'm great with listening to myself going down the highway.
In 2018, I realized I would never fit the mold. I stopped asking myself if something was good enough or radio enough, commercial enough. I started asking, is this me? Is this who I am? Is this what I want to do? Am I communicating my heart? And that for me was the most freeing thing that could have ever happened to me artistically.
Whenever you are making music, and in particular if you have dreads and you're black, then people automatically assume things like, I'll be walking through the airport in some random city and people be like, oh, I love your hair. Oh, you have a guitar. Are you going to do reggae? And I'm like, oh, I love reggae, but no, I'm not. Making life easier would be conforming to what people would see me do physically. But I do what I do. I do what my heart tells me, and I sound like a sound, and I don't feel like I want to spend my time explaining all that.
You know, they say country music is 3 chords and the truth, so I'm just sharing my truth. This is what I want to write. This is what I want to put out. This is what I want people to hear. And especially being in this space, like, why I shy away from who I am and how I feel.
It is my honor and it is my privilege to talk about being black because I am black. It's my honor and privilege to talk about being a woman because I am a woman. And I have all of those experiences, I think, reflected in my music. This music thing that everyone loves and we love, it's hard. It's a whole lot of stuff that goes on in the background, and it can get discouraging. But if you push through it, you just never know if a time like this will happen, where we're basically seeing a renaissance in music, and in country music especially.
As I walk through the cornfield alone, full of emptiness. As I look to my left and my right, there's no one there to hold my hand. As my nerves get to shaking and my voice get to trembling, just start praying for me. Just start praying on a ledge. I take in all of the fresh air on my way down. 1,000,000 miles away, I met an angel, and she told me everything'll be okay. That's when I woke up, baby. Show me love, show me love, show me love. Girl, I love you more than I love myself. I need love, oh, I need love. We all know that a drink can't heal my heart. That's why I need you by my side. I need love.
Okay, be cool. Be cool when I let you out here, okay? You just enjoy yourself. Be cool, buddy. That's a big boy. The feeling in the country is amazing. It's peaceful. You know, when you're looking around at all this stuff, you feel God. You know, you feel peace. It's phenomenal, man, to have my babies out here in the open field, up under this beautiful light from the Lord upstairs. Peaceful, quiet, they can run around, do whatever they want. Woo, woo, woo! Woo, woo, woo! I've been here doing this since 2008. I felt like we needed to be down here opening the doors up because this music is amazing. This music is beautiful and it's positive. I felt like I could shine a light on this genre and say, listen, you know, like, we don't have to just do this. Like, we can move out to the country. We could be out here with horses and cows. You could be where the air is clean. So it's deep in my heart to say, listen, we can enjoy this dream. We can enjoy this life. And you can make music in these environments, about these environments. And you can just sit and write a song and sing a song with nothing, like with no electricity, sit outside and be like, I don't need anything. I could sit here and I could write a hit song. And that's powerful when you can do something like that. Kick it in the country, man, eating on some hay. I can kick it with your Big Joe all day. Don't let me fall, oh, baby, don't let me fall. We can do it all, yeah, we can do it all. Winter, spring, in the summer or the fall. Whatever you do, my buddy, just don't let me fall. We don't need no saddles, we ride bareback around here, baby. All I wanna do is take you out and show you love, my dear baby. Need a pretty little lady in the field riding horses with me. Out in the country in Tennessee where we feel free. My whole experience in the music industry, I wish that there were more people of color to sing the songs I was writing. Because there's a different way that we sing sometimes. You know, there's a different way that soul comes out. The experiences of being black in America, that puts something in your soul deep down to where you sing the song a little different.
I do think that there is a shift. There's a shift in consciousness that has occurred, starting with the lockdown, all of the abuses that have always gone on, that continued to go on, but which were filmed and absorbed in people's psyches and their emotions in a deeper way than ever before in my lifetime. Nashville is a part of a whole macrocosm that I think there is a wave of change happening in a sustained way that I have not witnessed in my life.
Truth earned Mickey Guyton her first ever Grammy nomination for her deeply personal song, Black Like Me, making Mickey the first Black female solo artist ever to earn a nod in a country music category.
Now, you are heading into the weekend with a trophy already in your hand. Of course, that is for New Male Artist of the Year. You are the first Black musician to do that.
This weekend, Mickey Guyton will become the first Black woman to co-host the Academy of Country Music Awards. She was the only Black woman to be nominated for an award this year. But as Amna Nawaz reports, a number of Black women are starting to gain traction in the genre.
When I started meeting Raina Roberts and Karen McCormick and Camille Parker and Mickey Guyton, like, I just started feeling like, oh, this is a thing. This is happening. It's not just me. There's a shift happening. There's a whole new sound coming. And it's not to take place of something else. We just want to join the story.
No matter how many different ways I sang, no matter what makeup you put on me, I'm still a Black woman. And that's never going to change. And I have to be who I am and love that and accept that. And when I got to that place, it almost makes me teary-eyed to even talk about, but it was truly one of the most freeing things I could have ever done for myself. There's so many amazing things happening for me, but there is so much sadness because I do know too much. I know entirely too much.
You work day and night for an old house and a used car, just to live that good life. It shouldn't be twice as hard. Oh, now I'm all grown up and nothing has changed. It's a hard life on Easy Street, just one painted picket fence as far as you can see. If you think we live in the land of the free, you should try to be black like me.
I've been in town for years, and it took a song like Black Like Me and a man dying for people to notice me. How do you celebrate that? There are times, even to this day, where I still question if I have a home within the country music genre. And I just have to be honest. I don't always feel like I have a home, but I'm creating a home. And I hope I'm creating a space for other people of color and Black people to feel like they have a home in this genre.
It's going to be difficult to have conversations about what we need to do, or whether, you know, there's actual hope and movement right now when it ain't been this lit in Nashville in a minute. You know, all these articles and like that hasn't happened in a while. So if you're a part of that, if you're riding that wave, everything's too good right now.
It's almost come every generation, right? Where there's been these moments in time when, commercially speaking, there was potential there to maybe be hopeful that something was going to change within the industry.
It's a business, and it's a business that does very, very well for itself, which makes me cynical because from their perspective, as a business where the goal is to make money, not to do the right thing, there really isn't an incentive to change.
We're doing a lot of talking and a lot of discussing, which is great and which is a wonderful first step, but I have yet to see a lot of action against racism.
We're seeing kind of surface level things. Some organizations in town that, you know, as they cultivate the list of like who's next, they're making sure there's black faces on there. The CMAs and the ACMs, they're, okay, we don't want to have another award show where there are no black people. That is happening.
But there's no consequences. There's not a lot of action of people saying, we are not going to do this anymore. There's a lot of dismantling that needs to be done. I think if one artist says, I don't want Confederate flags at my show, and that rule is followed, it can't even be expressed like what a difference that will make moving forward.
Nashville is growing, and Nashville is getting better. But I have not seen that same growth in the country music industry. And I'm starting to see it now, but it makes me wonder, is it because of what's going on in our society right now, or is it because they finally get it and understand that the country music industry will be better if it becomes more diverse?
It's going to take a lot to change country music. It's got to be people behind the scenes, people at record labels, people in radio. You know, it's going to take a lot to change, and it's going to take time.
There has to be not just one or two or three black people that go on to have successful careers every 25 years or something like that. There has to be several black country artists that have viable careers. And we have to walk through that door together as a whole, as a unit, arm in arm through these doors and saying, hey, we're here and we're talented and we deserve to be here. Our dreams are valid.
There's no pushing the tide back. There's no turning the river the other way. It's that long arc of justice. It's long and slow, and we're not there yet, but I do hope and believe that we will get there.
It's a very exciting time for Nashville, and I have great hopes for this city. I've been here 40 years. Seen a lot of changes, you know. But I have a lot of hope for this generation, which has certainly went further than anyone I've seen other than Charley Pride. So I would say, learn how to work together because there's such power in numbers. Learn to write together. Exchange ideas together. Develop your sounds together. Support each other. Help the platform. Where can you go if you don't have a platform? That's what I would love to see happen in Nashville. And I think if it's powerful enough, a whole lot of things could happen.
You can drink my liquor, you can call my lady, you can take my money, you can smoke my blunt. Scuff these Jordans, you can say you hate me, you can call me crazy, but don't touch my truck. Don't touch my truck. Don't touch my V8 engine with the windows tinted, boy. We came from the bottom, got it out the mud. Whole block jumping, cause the subs stay hidden. If they roll up on me, know my key wants up. Let them boys come get me. I be riding through the city. Young, rich, and I'm pretty. Homie, don't get it twisted. Put the sock in the family. Red coat for the family. My face for the family. You can drink my liquor, you can call my lady. You can take my money, you can smoke my blunt. Scuff these thorns, you can say you hate me. You can call me crazy, but don't touch my truck. Don't touch my truck. Don't touch my wood grain grass with the matte black finishing. Match my shawty with the big old butt. Let them boys come get me. I be riding through the city. Young, rich, and I'm pretty. Homie, don't get it twisted. Put the sock in the family. Red coat for the family. You can drink my liquor, you can call my lady. You can take my money, you can smoke my blunt. Stuff these thorns, you can say you hate me. You can call me crazy, but don't touch my truck. Don't touch my truck. Don't touch my truck.